All right, so we're gonna do a little work here. My father has two chainsaws. One is a Homelite Super Easy automatic that he bought brand new. It's either a 78 or a 79. So let's just say that saw is like 44 years old. And he's never done anything to it. It's never broken before. Years ago, I want to say it was in the 90s, early 90s. I remember we were cutting down a tree and it crapped out, and it was the gas line. It broke and fuel was pouring out of it. And at the time I had a fish tank and it had an air pump and it had a little air line that was just about the same size as a gas line. So I remember we took a piece of it and we cut it off and we made like a rig job patch for the thing. And that's the only thing that's ever gone wrong with that saw for him ever. So he was trying to start it a few weeks ago and it wouldn't start. He said he could spray ether in it and it would fire off on that, but it wouldn't do anything else. So I'm not even gonna take it apart. I just ordered a fuel line and some parts for it, and we're gonna hope that fixes it. The second saw is a Steel 021. That one runs fine, but the bar oiler is not working, so there's no oil going to the chain. So let's start with the Homelite. Well, it's getting cold out. It's like 30 degrees out now. The garage is getting cold. It's getting dark early. 6:30, it's pitch black out. It's freezing cold. I hate this time of year for working on stuff, but I got some parts in the mail this week for the Homelite Super Easy for my father's saw. So let's check it out. I got these parts here from a place. It's called Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. And evidently he's like the go-to guy for old Homelite stuff. I ordered it. It came like 2 or 3 days later. Very reasonable prices, super reasonable shipping and quick. I'm very happy with it. So I didn't even open the package yet, but I got a fuel line, a grommet for the tank, and a fuel filter cover. I guess the fuel filter has kind of like a sleeve that you replace, and you keep the filter body and just replace a little filter sleeve. So let's check it out. All right, so we got the filter sleeve, the fuel line, and a little tank grommet. And I got a Champion spark plug. That's the OEM plug from the guy also. So that's it, just those couple little things. And we got another thing. This did not come from Leon. I got this on, I think, eBay. A Walbro carb kit, K10 HDC for the carburetor. It's got all the original gaskets in it from, I forget what year it is, 1978 or 9. I'll have to look it up again, but those things got to be toast. So I'm really hopeful that we replace these fuel line parts and we're back in business again. So let's get to it and see if we can get that new fuel line. So we're going to work on the Homelite Super Easy here. And the first thing we're going to do is clean off all this sawdust and all this garbage, because we got to take this cover off here for the recoil. So we'll blow that off and make it a little better. All right, let's see. All right, that's pretty nice. We'll go with that. All right, so I'm going to take it apart and like, what the heck? Nothing fits. It's metric. It's made in Canada. So let me pull out the metric stuff and we'll take it apart. All right, so we got a couple screws here on the recoil cover that we got to take off. Take an 8mm. Shouldn't be so bad. Like 4 of them. And then we'll take it apart. All right, I got the screws out. Let's see. There we go. Ooh, it's full of crap. Kind of expected that would be the case, but here's our problem right here. Got a broken fuel line. And you might have heard me tell the story earlier, but when I was in high school, I remember my father using the saw, and it developed a gas leak, evidently, right here. And we took a piece of fish fish tank air line from a air pump, which you can't really see here, but it's up here. And we basically put it over top of this line. It was a snug fit and it lasted a long time. So we're gonna clean up the rest of this crap in here, all around the coil and the flywheel and all this garbage. And we'll yank this line out. And we got a new grommet for the tank here. Got our new line, a grommet, and a nice filter cover. So let's get to it. All right, so I got it all blown out, pretty good. Now I'm gonna take off the air filter cover back here also. Let's take this off. Let's see. Got the carburetor. You can see the stupid patch on the gas line here. I love it. I did buy some gaskets to put in the carb, so we're going to rebuild the carb at the same time that we're here. This Walbro kit K10 HDC. But for now, let's do this gas line first. I got to get some needle nose pliers to pull this sucker out of there. Be right back. All right, let's see. So we got the rigged up piece of fish tank line on here, and we got the OEM line on the carb. It's stuck on the carb still. Let's see if we can get that off. Might have to cut it with a knife. This crap shrinks so much over time. And over here we got a little section in here of original line with a piece of fish tank line over it. And then we got back here, let me take off the actual fuel cap here. Let's see if we can fish this line out of the tank. Ugh. Let me put the pliers in there instead of my finger. Let's see. There we go. There we go. So basically I gotta pull all this crap out. It's really not that bad, but we got the new filter, so let's just replace this all and call it a day. I'm not sure how that grommet comes in, from which side, you know. I think it comes in from the outside, so let me get a little pick or something and I can probably pull it out of there. All right, let me see here. I got my little picks here. Could be a dentist if I want. Let me get these out of here. Let's see. How are we going to get this out? Well, we'll put the pick in there and just give it a little tug. Hopefully it'll come right out. Here's the old line. And let's see if we can get that grommet out. There we go. That wasn't so bad. So what we'll do is we'll take this new line and new grommet and put them in. I will say this, that this new line looks a lot shorter than the old one. Let's see here. Here's the old one that was in there. Oh, I guess it's good. It just looked a lot shorter coiled up than it really was, you know. So let's see, how are we going to do this here is the question. I want to say the grommet was right here on the old one, that about this much was in the tank. So let's see how we can do this here. Let me put some junk on this grommet, some oil or something, so I can get it in that hole easier. I'm just going to give it a little bit of WD-40. Let's do that, and maybe we can get it into the hole a little easier here. That kind of looks like a bee to get it in there, if you know what I'm saying. All right, I'll get something to press it in with. Maybe a little socket would work. Let me try this 8mm socket that I was using to take this thing apart. I can feel the grommet with my finger on the inside of the tank a little bit. Yeah, that's a bee, huh? I wonder if it'd be easier to put it in from the inside. I don't want to drop it in the tank. That would make a mess. Let's see. All right, so with a little manipulation, I got the grommet in there. It was not that easy, to be honest with you. I ended up using the back end of this and kind of crinkling it in half and pushing it through just lightly with the blunt end here. Okay, so we're ready to get that gas line going again. So let's see here. Again, we got this part here that was in the tank versus not in the tank. So, you know, this pliable end was in the tank. This other end was not in the tank. So I'm just going to kind of mark off here how far I got to push it in the tank. I got to go to about here. So when I got this line, he cut an angle on the end so that we can push it through the grommet easier. I'm just going to give it a little spray of WD-40 on here just to lube it up and hopefully make it easier to push through that grommet. Let's see how hard this is, or not hard. Oh, it's simple. It goes right in. On the inside of the tank, I can feel the fuel line with my other finger. So I'm actually going to take these needle nose, put it down in there, grab it, and pull it through until I get to about where I want to be. There we go. So now I'm just going to run this line up and over here and get it back into the carburetor area where it needs to go. There's a little hole back here in the casting up by the air filter it's got to go through. So once I get it through there, I should be in pretty good shape. There we go, got it. Pull that through, and we'll just kind of snug this thing up and get it out of the way here. Not sure, maybe I ran that in the wrong spot. Let me pull it out. It's got to go over this line here, not under it. Let me try that again. There we go. So if I pull that through, should be in good shape. We got more than enough line to reach to the carburetor, so I'm going to pull it back into the tank a little bit. Now we got the original fuel filter with this, I don't know what you call this cover on it. I was going to call it felt, but it's not. I don't know. I'll call it felt. That sounds good. Let me see if I can get this turd off of there. It's on there pretty good. And this saw is like 44 years old or something like that. And this has never been changed, so it can't hurt, I guess, huh? Not really sure what's under this. I didn't want to go crazy and cut it with a knife because I've never taken one apart. It looks like it's just a piece of metal under it, so I don't really have too much to damage, maybe. Let's see. What's under there? Just metal? Maybe I will get a knife and just cut it. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to take this knife and gently score this down. Let's see. Yeah, I don't want to go crazy. Again, I don't know what's under this everywhere. Let's see. This is tough stuff, I'll tell you that. All right, I got it apart, and it's just a piece of metal. There's nothing to it, you know? So let me put this new one on it. I'll work that in there, and then we'll attach it to the tank end of the line and drop it in the tank, and we got that half done. Then we got to come back and take that carburetor off as our next step. So there we go. That looks good, like just like that. We hook up the line to it, and we'll be good in the tank end department. He's got a bevel cut on there. I'm just going to take my knife and just cut it flush and make a flush cut that's square. Actually, I'll use some clippers instead. My needle nose have clippers in them, so we'll clip it with that. Let's see. Let's make that a square cut. There we go. All right, and we'll plug this in to the fuel filter end. Make sure we get that all the way snug on that nipple. There we go. All right, we should be good. I'll drop that back in the tank. All right, cool. And I'll put my fuel cap back on at this point. Now we're going to take the carburetor off. So we got to take off, get this fuel cap on. Let me get a flat blade screwdriver. Be right back.